Hello, and welcome to AlbinoFilms. I am the Raging Albino, and I will be your guide on this journey through the wonderful world that is cinema. Yes, this channel is dedicated entirely to reviewing movies for you guys, the audience. Before we get started on this journey together, I would like to set some disclaimers up for myself and this channel. First thing, I am not a professional, so all these critiques and reviews I have for movies might be a little biased to what I like when I go to the movies, but on the other hand, I will try to keep things slightly unbiased by appealing to a wider variety of views we might have. So, for example, if I don't like horror movies in general, I'm not going to bash on every horror movie I see simply because that's not my style of movies, because I know some of you out there like them, so I will try to keep those fair and as engaging videos as I possibly can for the wide variety of those who like them. The second thing is since I'm not a professional, I can only see movies when they come out, and what I mean by that is some professional critics and reviewers can see movies in 2 to 3 days advance, something called screenings. I don't have that luxury as of now, so I'm going to see movies Friday nights or Thursday midnight premiere kind of things, and the reviews should be coming out on Sundays, and if there's 2 a week, expect Sundays and Wednesdays. The third important thing about my channel is I am not going to get to see every movie that ever comes out on every day of the year. I'm going to see major movies, I'm going to see even lesser movies, I'm going to see every movie that I can, with the exception of independent films or foreign films. I don't mean foreign films as in it's just a movie in Japanese or French. No, I mean movies that came out in Japan or France and are exclusively for that nature. Now, if there's a movie you really want me to review and I haven't seen yet, I will take that into consideration and try my best to see the movie. I just don't want to make any promises for those wondering where certain reviews are. I like to review movies for the reasons people go to see the movies. They go to see the movies for plot. They go to see the movies for story, characters. Some people maybe critiques on acting. That's all good. I don't necessarily stress plot structure or style in which a movie's made or anything of that nature that the casual viewer, that's a term I like to use as the viewer that just goes to enjoy the movie. I don't like to use things that the casual viewer might not notice, because we don't go to the movies to say, wow, that's really historically accurate, and you know, if I'm going to teach a history class in the future, I'm definitely going to show this to my kids. I don't necessarily go for all that stuff. I do, to keep it professional, sometimes go back to plot, structure, acting, script writing, certain things that the casual viewer might not notice, but I like to keep it as casual viewer friendly as I can, so that's where the majority of my reviews are coming from. Things that go into my overall appreciation of the movie. Initial reaction. I like to see a movie twice, and the reason I like to see it twice is I like to go in there and just simply say, wow, I like that movie a lot, or wow, that movie was shit. So after I can have this initial reaction to the movie, then I can go a second time and say, you know, this script was really good, these actors were really good, this plot and the structure, and maybe things I didn't catch the first time around, I see again. Now, with that being said, I'm going to make my reviews based off the first time I see it, so if I leave anything out, I might make a second video expressing things that I necessarily didn't express in the first video that I made. The second videos I'm talking about are videos called spoiler videos, and I'm sure a lot of you who watch YouTubers review movies and review things in general, they make possibly 2 different things, and if not, they combine into one. There's the clean one, I want to call, that's you will like this movie if you like this had good parts such as etc. There are other reviews that I might make a little longer, and that's talking about things I don't want to spoil. For those of you who don't know what spoil means, it means giving away crucial plot points in the movie that could make watching the movie a little less entertaining because it already has been spoiled for you. Spoiled. So I will make, if it's a really big movie such as the first Avengers movie, that's a movie I'm going to talk about because there's things in there that happen I think awesome, you know. I just think I really want to talk about it, but I don't want to give anything away that happens in my initial review, so I will separate them into 2 movies, the spoiler video maybe being a bit longer. Another thing I use that maybe a lot of people don't put into consideration, but I do when I'm thinking of how I enjoy the movie, is a certain hype factor that surrounds the movie. So if this movie is supposed to be the greatest movie that ever comes out, and I see it and it's really not, and it's not even close, I'm going to actually dislike the movie a little more, simply because the advertising is such a false advertising, and it kind of almost insults me that they made me see this, or just lying to me what the movie's about. Again, I don't have that 1000% of my movie review, so if it's really hyped and it's not so good, but it's still pretty good, I'm still going to appreciate the movie for what it is. It's just maybe not what I expected and kind of let me down a bit. On the flip side, what could happen is the movie's not even talked about at all, and it's just a great movie, and that movie's going to get a little more praise from me because this movie was such an unexpected underdog that I appreciate the movie slightly more. Another thing I like to talk about when I'm doing these reviews is the experience I have in this movie. I like to see, of course, every movie in a theater for the full big screen, best sound quality you can get. I like to get this experience. So if I feel that, for example, a Star Wars movie, you have all these Star Wars fans, these really hardcore fans, and they're giving me this good aura of feeling for this movie, I think that's awesome. I mean, I'm not going to judge movies that don't have a certain following. So if I'm in a movie and I'm watching this movie and I feel engaged, it could be any movie, but if I feel engaged and I feel I'm in this movie and I come out of the movie just being like, wow, my life has changed from that movie for 30 minutes until I go home and realize that my life is boring and kind of depressing. So if these movies have this certain feeling, I kind of like them more because, like I said, people go to movies to escape, to venture to new worlds, to experience things they wouldn't experience in their everyday life. One other thing you guys might want to know is, what scale do I use? And I find scales to kind of be arbitrary, as in I could give a movie a 6 out of 10 and I could watch it again and I'd give it an 8 out of 10. Or I could give a movie a 6 out of 10 and then I see another movie that I liked better, but I give a 5 out of 10 just simply because I forget how I initially felt about the movie. So a scale, I think, is a little too arbitrary to put your feelings for an entire movie into a 1 to 10 range, but I will supply it simply because that's what people like to see, and it makes it easier for them to understand how I felt about the movie. I do feel that it's a bit cheating, as you would say, because I'm saying all these things about the movie, and there's so many things I have opinions on, so many different things, and at the end of the day it just comes down to a 7 out of 10, and so everything I said doesn't really matter because it's 7 out of 10. So if it's 7 out of 10, people maybe don't want to see it, maybe you're going to see it, so they don't really care about what I have to say about other things. So without further ado, what I use is the albino scale. Yes, it's called the albino scale, just because I don't want to be boring and say it's a 7 out of 10. So a 1 being the worst, a 10 being the best. I very rarely give 10s just because that means perfect in my mind, and some movies will get 10s. They will get 10s just because some movies will be good, and I very rarely give 1s because that basically is saying that this movie did nothing right. I wanted to cut my toes off. Yeah, the movie had to be that bad. I do 2 different kinds of ratings. I do my casual viewer rating and my more critic-oriented rating. Now, what that might mean is it could be a entertaining movie from a viewer's point of view, but there are things in it that a critic or a more professional outlook would say this isn't really that good of a movie, yet entertaining. So a casual review might get a 8 out of 10 because it's funny, engaging, and it's an overall great experience. But due to some acting problems and maybe script problems, it might be a 6 out of 10 simply because the execution wasn't the best it could be. One final thing I want to say before this video wraps up is exactly what my purpose for making this video is. Now, it is going to be my featured video, the first video you see when you're on my channel. It will be the main video, the inauguration, as you would say. For those who haven't been a part of my channel before, it's going to answer questions: why is it a 7 out of 10 casual rating but a 5 out of 10 critic rating? It might answer, why do you review the movies the way you do? So I want this video to serve that purpose of being the guide to all my videos to come. I hope, unless I forget, to add links to every future video I have back to this video, so like I said, you guys can see why I ranked it the way I did, why I thought the way I did, and then it just makes it that much easier. Well, that about wraps it up for this video, guys. If you liked the video, smack the like button below. If you want to see more, hit the subscribe button, and do whatever you can to make this channel seem better than it actually is. Follow me on Twitter, @AlbinoFilms, Instagram, AlbinoFilms, and if you have any personal questions for me, email me at AlbinoFilms365@gmail.com. This has been an approved message from the Raging Albino. See you next time.